there, brilliant. Hackney, Stratford. It looks like we're quite London-centric at the moment. Columbia, hey, brilliant. So yeah, great to know that we've got a global audience. I think that's really important. Our panelists today consists of people across a wealth of kind of areas within the music industry. I will let them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what they do, but just to give you an idea. Like we're quite London-centric at the moment. Oh, I can hear myself. Let me just turn that off. That's throwing me. There we go. Okay, that's the YouTube. We are streaming live on YouTube as well. So that's it. We are live. That's how it goes. Yeah, I'll let them introduce themselves and talk a little bit about what they do. But just to give you an idea, we have Kwame, who works here at Point Blank, senior A&R and manager of some great artists. We've got Wez, who's been here previously and is managing director, label manager at Defected Records, which have done massive things in the music industry. We have Trystram, who is who leads things at CAA, Creative Artist Agency. So they're our artist booking agency and they work with some top tier talent. We have Dave from The Floor. The Floor is a brilliant platform for those people that want to sort of get involved with streaming and monetizing their streams. Just got people coming in the waiting room at all times. I love it. We have got Craig, who runs Groovy Geko. They've been involved in streaming and do streaming things for like massive corporates like Jaguar, and you know he'll explain a little bit more about that. And of course we've got Stanley here, who does our content at Point Blank, so he's very familiar with all these social media platforms and how they work. And also, as DJ Ravine, has really mastered, like, you know, monetizing content and doing sort of DJ gigs and streams via these social media platforms. So I think we've got a wide range. I've kind of given a brief introduction, but I will let them talk a little bit about what they do as well, while I keep letting people in the room. So, I mean, seeing as it started with a conversation between me and Roman, maybe I'll let you just sort of give a bit about yourself and your background first, man.
Okay, thanks. Good evening, everyone. Great to be here. My name is Roman Trystram. I'm a music agent at the leading entertainment and sports agency, Creative Artist Agency, working in the London office. With over 25 years in electronic music, I joined CAA back in 2012 from 360, where I represented artists like Swedish House Mafia, Alesso, and Disclosure, who I discovered. Previous to that, I worked at a company called Coda, now known as Paradigm, representing acts like Avicii and Audio Bullies. After a number of years in the wilderness and hedonist decade of the 90s as a rave promoter, manager to many DJs. CAA represents a huge number of world-leading music artists. I'll give you some examples. Everything from Two Door Cinema Club, Arcade Fire, Beyonce, Brian Ferry, David Guetta, Daft Punk, Dua Lipa, Dinah Ross, the list goes on, Kraftwerk, Muse, Nile Rodgers, New Order, and on and on and on. We're a full service agency with offices worldwide, including China, representing many of the most successful professionals in both TV, film, theatre, fashion, digital, and the sports space. CAA Sports has just been named the world's most valuable sports agency by Forbes for the 8th consecutive year. So that gives you a bit of a scale of the 40-plus-year-old company that comes out of the US.
Lovely. Thank you very much for that, Roman. And obviously the nature of your business has been impacted because of this and how, yeah, so we'll get into that in a minute. I'm just looking along here at my window gallery, and Kwame, you're next up, man. So I might as well go to you. Kwame, a little bit about yourself, mister.
Okay, I'm a music manager, I guess, first and foremost. But before that, I guess I was a musician. I was in a band in the 90s called The Influence. We did a lot of touring, did a lot of production, produced a lot of, you know, acts that went on to chart really well. After doing that, went into events, formed a thing called the Urban Music Seminar, which started out 500 people and then went on to become, I guess, Europe's biggest sort of urban music conference, really, sort of thing. So we did that. I guess somewhere in between there, just got involved in management. So I first couple of years in management were really, really bad. Didn't have any hits, didn't score anything at all. Was about to get sacked, and I kind of realised that I would take a chance on myself and just go for things that I liked. So I then came across a singer called Rumour, and really backed her. Did 26 showcases. I think we're on the 23rd. Atlantic turned up, and we went on to sell 1 million units with her, and then from there went on to manage Laura Mvula. Did her for 5 years, again from scratch to bigger things. And then I guess at the same time did a lot of consultancy, which then led me into a bit of lecturing. I then had chats with Point Blank about, they were kind of like, what would you be interested in doing? And we just got more into the mentoring at Point Blank, which, I have mentor sessions stacked and racked, as Tijan knows.
Yeah, I'm responsible sometimes for firing them in your direction. So
I do a couple of days a week at Point Blank, and also run the A&R in Point Blank Records, which is a lot of fun. And I guess our first song seems to be doing well. So
we're up to like approaching 500,000 streams, and
that's good.
Got going a couple months ago, which is good, man. It's a good way to reintroduce the whole Point Blank recordings. Right. Thank you, Kwame. We'll come back to you in a sec. Craig, Groovy Geko. Maybe you could just give us a little bit about yourself, sir.
Groovy. Hello, everyone. My name's Craig. We started Groovy Geko about 21 years ago. So we were one of the pioneers in the space of streaming and webcasting in the UK and Europe. I actually started, I'll tell you the quick story. I started Groovy Geko because I was at MTV Networks Europe. And the reason I was there is that it was like my dream company to work for when I was in my sort of middle to late 20s, and my dream was always to have my own music television station. And in those days, the only way you could do that would if you had very, very deep pockets, or a rich daddy and all their shareholders to have a satellite or set of satellites to do that on MTV. But then this thing called streaming came along, and I realized that this is exactly what I wanted to do. And the only way that I would have a hope in hell of achieving my own music television station would be to embrace this technology called streaming. So Groovy Geko was initially set up to be an MTV online, sort of an early YouTube before YouTube was sort of born. And then, of course, we realized that we could actually help people across all industries, and that's what we do today. So our clients are anybody from very large corporates like BP and banks, all the way down to small production houses and everybody in between. So we do all the streaming for UK Parliament and for Scottish Parliament. And we love to work with digital agencies and all of their brands. So, we have over 400 clients, current clients. And I mean, if you mention a brand, we've probably worked with them. The kind of stuff we do is predominantly live. We're known as people who can solve, really questions in the live arena. We'll do anything like Bear Grylls jumping off a Royal Air Force aircraft and land on the back of a moving Land Rover and do that live 360 to like 4 platforms. It's that sort of thing. So the last big music event that we did through our clients Universal was Andrea Bocelli in March, where I think it's a record, but I think we did 3.2 million live streams within 25 minutes. So that was pretty gratifying to see and quite unbelievable. But we do quite a lot of music stuff more and more now for Universal, and live event album launches, and red carpet events and movie launches like Star Wars and Leicester Square, etc., etc. So I'm also quite a frustrated, I wouldn't say music producer. I think it's quite arrogant. But I first started an introduction to electronic music about 22 years ago when I was using Cakewalk. One of the very, very early packages. And I've recently started to try and I've been on a course to learn Ableton. But again, it's just, I'm very envious of you guys on the call that you are just be able to just weave magic using Ableton or whatever DAW you're using to come up with amazing stuff. So I'm very envious, and happy to be on the panel today. So thank you.
That's all right. Next time you sign up for a course, Craig, come over to us. You'd have mastered the art of Ableton by now if you were with us. Dave, you're next up in the row. Go on, talk to me, Dave.
Hey everyone. I'm Dave. We've started a new platform called thefloor.com, which we've been experimenting with for about 8 months to a year. Lots of live streaming during pandemic, earning people some money on sort of ticketed gigs, learning a lot about streaming. And I used to have like a full head of hair before I did streaming. So we've learned a lot. My background is I dropped out of school at about 15, and I was a songwriter. I managed to get some stuff broadcast, joined the PRS. I still get some royalties today, but I was doing electronic music with MIDI version 0.5 or something like that. But I gave it all up because I didn't think I could make any money then, and I moved into tech. I'm a geek, so I've worked in big tech, and I know some of Craig's customers are like Facebook and the big platforms. They've been my customers in tech. But this is where all the boos come. The tech that I worked with when they were my customers, like the Googles and the Apples, it's what they use for all the algorithms, the enemy for ads revenue, highly targeted, sucking our data and taking away natural selection and making sure that nobody gets paid. I worked on some startups. I've worked in some startups that have done really well. I worked on one that we started that was acquired by Dell. I'm really like a CTO type person. Some of the big American companies that I've worked for have been streaming like 500,000 streams at once for like Olympics, Winter Olympics, things like that. I've had teams doing that kind of thing. And when we started the floor, we did a lot of research just to prove that there was a lot of leechers taking the money, and we just feel that the ecosystem needs the whole thing needs to be turned upside down, direct to fan. And we've proven the problem of reach online through social media and the addiction and the gamification and the meaningless fakeness of it. We've proven that people can earn quite a lot of money if they go direct between creators and artists of all kinds and labels. And so we're now going to launch properly with, we're in the cloud, we're global. We're going to be launching our new platform in a couple of months. And so it's a real privilege to be with you guys, everyone. I mean, people in the industry and people for the future. So thanks for having me.
Wicked. Dave, thanks very much. Just going to quickly introduce yourself, Stan. By the way, just a reminder to everyone, as you're familiarizing yourself with the panel members, if questions spring to mind, please use the chat. That's the same for our YouTube listeners. Please throw your chat on YouTube as well. We're going to monitor the chat, throw some questions in the discussion. So far we've had Roman, Kwame, Craig, and Dave introduce himself. Stanley, please let us know a little bit about yourself, sir.
Hello, can you hear me? Everything good?
Man. Yeah.
All right. So I feel like the best way to introduce myself is by probably doing this. So just give me a second. What's up? All right, here we go.
Yes, Stan. I can't hear you all of a sudden.
Are the police in there?
Someone shut you down, Stan. There we go.
They think that we only have communist parties.
All right. How's everyone going out there? This is DJ Ravine. And you are listening to me on twitch.tv/Ravine. And we are streaming. It's another beautiful Wednesday. Hope you guys are doing all right. Thanks everyone for supporting. Let's have the party. Let's go.
Party.
Lovely.
All right. Okay, so I'm going to stop that now. Thank you. Shout out to all the guys on Twitch chat right now because I'm streaming this right now to my own Twitch channel. Can you guys see? Hold on. I'm going to change back to the regular microphone. 1 second.
Well, exactly, Stan. Within that small moment, you've given me a prime example of why we've got you on the panel, because you completely are fully immersed in the culture of streaming your art online. So that's you as DJ Ravine, and you've kind of worked out how to monetize and how to continue engaging your audience in this kind of time when live performance has changed so much. And what else? give us a little bit about what else you do as well here at Point Blank.
All right, so I'm marketing manager and content manager at Point Blank, and I look after the YouTube channel, socials, all that kind of stuff. God, my Twitch chat is just popping off right now. I'm gonna change it back. Sorry guys, Twitch. Yeah, we've got crazy stuff that goes on. I'll just give you this as an example. So you can see, hopefully you can see everything that's on my screen right now, but we've got the Twitch chat goes live here. That's all my people, all my friends, followers, fans, and all that kind of stuff watching on Twitch TV. And this is basically what I do every night, 7 p.m. I will basically just go on, stream to a whole bunch of people. We got a couple hundred people watching every night, and I just play music. We literally have a rave in this place. Someone donated 100 bits, and then when someone donates, I've got it to activate my smoke machine. I've got lights. It's a full party in here. And I basically do that every night. And during the day, I work as a marketing manager at Point Blank. So I help with the branding of the school, all that kind of fun stuff. But that's pretty much it for me. I'm just, I'm excited to talk to you guys about how this all came about and everything. I started doing this basically when the pandemic started, and it's just taken off. So that's about it for me.
Perfect. And that's why we really appreciate having your perspectives. And then can you imagine the kind of company I work for if this is the marketing manager? You can imagine the Christmas party at Point Blank can get kind of crazy. Last but not least, Wez, Defected Records, man.
I feel like I should.
You guys do.
Feel like I need to do a dance or something after seeing Stanley doing all that activity.
Have you got like glowing lights?
I'm seriously underwhelmed. They're going to turn the lights on and I'll start flickering shit. Well done. My name is Wez Saunders. I'm Managing Director of Defected Records. For those of you who weren't here last week, because I see some familiar faces, so hello to you guys. And for the panelists and the newcomers on YouTube, etc., Defected is a independent house music label that was started in 1999. We have had a number of kind of hit records over the kind of nearly 23 years now, where we have records from Roger Sanchez and Masters at Work, and more recently the likes of Camel Fat Cola, Endor Pump It Up, John Summit, Deep End last year, the Martinez Brothers Louis Vega record that's currently on radio playlists. We worked with a number of artists that we have either on the roster or in the management or the agency sections of the business. So we have worked recently with Honey Dijon. We have, last year alone, we worked with Calvin Harris's Love Regenerator, Medusa, Dennis Ferrer, Darius Sarossian, Boys Noise, Davey, Afire, like lots of artists. The business is set up in to various sections. Music and the record label is front and center of everything we do, but we're also an events company. Prior to lockdown, we were doing around about 260 to 300 events a year across the Defected and Glitterbox brands primarily. As of 2020, when lockdown obviously affected and the coronavirus pandemic affected the live sector, we diverted our events business into a virtual festival strategy. And we went on to put on 25 virtual festival events last year, weekly at one point, every week, all but one of the first 12 weeks of lockdown. We had a number, like 8 hours a week of live broadcasting across Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and various other platforms. We were commended by the virtual festival efforts that we put into play and were chosen to host the official launch party of the UEFA Champions League and Europa League last summer, which one of Roman's clients was participated in, Purple Disco Machine, who we also publish. And we're really just pushing forward now as a business beyond just the kind of record label and events into an ongoing sort of digital marketing and content strategy, and our evolution into what we like to consider as a new era music company. We kind of offer artists like a bit of a 360 proposition to put out their records, to position them on physical or virtual events activity. We have an editorial strategy, a content strategy. We have an agency. We like to help artists in developing and managing themselves. And that's us.
Lovely. And that's really nice, concise way of summarizing, like, basically the whole range of you guys have achieved fantastic things in the music industry and continue to do so, given these kind of crazy circumstances that we've been in ever since, well, for most of us in Europe, kind of 2020 March, really. But I know I've got a global audience here, so it would have impacted us at different points over the course of the last year or so. I just want to put this out here now, because we've heard everyone, and now the audience here kind of know where everyone's background and where they work and how they operate within the industry. I'm going to really put you guys on the spot now as the audience. I see a couple of people turn to the camera like, what, me? I'm like, yeah, Chantal, it could be you. I'm joking, right? It could be anyone. It could be you, Hugo. Just in general, I would like to kind of know, there's a reactions button, if you can see it. You can raise your hand and lower your hand as well. So you may want to use that feature. But I would like to hear your voice on this one. But has anyone been to a concert like that's been done via streaming? Anyone at all? I'm just looking through my camera. There might even be a couple people that have, but like, yo, ain't no way you're going to put me on. Yeah. Gabriel, you've been, right? If you don't mind, I just want to ask you a question for a second, Gabriel. What gig was it that you went to, bro?
It was this New Year's 31st Playboy Carti.
Okay, Playboy Carti. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been just witnessed that event, and it was nice, I have to say.
And be completely honest, right? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, so to be honest, I had a perspective to that as an upcoming artist, I was witness two things straight off the bat, that if I don't have an audience, right? To a person who's already successful, obviously they have a lot of audience and the people were gathered, and there was a huge amount of online audience who's obviously witnessing that. But what struck me the most was like, how can a person at this pandemic, in this pandemic era which we are suffering from, how can an artist build an audience online properly and then have the one, the loyalty of the people that they come over and they witness?
We'll get to that, Gabriel. I was kind of hoping to get, and I will put that question to the panelists. But what I was kind of hoping to hear from you is, was it an anti-climax, or was it like, or did you enjoy it? When you went to that live event, was you like, this is amazing actually? Or was you like, nah, I wish I was there?
Well, it was Playboy Carti, so I enjoyed it nevertheless. But yeah, I really wish I was there, to be honest, because you do not feel that rage, that there was no mosh pit, so how could I have enjoyed?
Okay, you wanted that mosh pit. You wanted that mosh pit. Can I just put the question again? Because I'm going to go to my panel. We've heard a bit from the panel, but I want to kind of make sure I get a vibe for what you guys have experiencing as audience members, as fans within the music industry, as artists, etc. Has anyone else been to any of these kind of live concerts, these streamed events? Has anyone else had that experience? Daniel, talk to me, bro. What did you go to, and what was it saying?
Hey, Tijan. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I mean, I kind of checked every Defected virtual festival, every single edition that they made. And I mean, it is hard to dance and to listen to music when you are in your bedroom and everything, and you want to be there actually partying. But for the circumstances and from being there, just locked in, it was great. It was what we needed, I think. So I think it was great.
That was one of your events, right, Wes?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because we've had a bit of feedback on it as well, and there's no denying that you can't replace the human interaction. It's just not possible. I mean, it's the thing that people miss most out of the, with the pandemic and the restrictions and any lockdown scenarios. It's that human interaction and connectivity. But being able to create or look to create opportunities for communities to kind of, our fan base were building like smaller communities within themselves. So there would be people partying on Zoom while still watching the live streams in the background on, YouTube or their TVs or whatever else. So people were still, talking to each other, interacting in their own little circles. And that was quite a nice sort of thing to kind of see and hear from them. But there's no denying the fact that, you know, being at a physical event is obviously significantly different to watching it via TV or a live stream. Now, with that said, there's still a desire and an appetite to consume music and, you know, actually kind of have a party of some kind. So the live events have really served the purpose in that. I mean, the whole idea of us doing it in the first place was to raise kind of like hope and positivity for people at what were initially was like super dark times. And I know we've kind of come back around to that right now in the latest batch. And it's, you know, the pandemic situation has worsened for many people towards the end of the year and the beginning of 2021. But it was always about a little bit of focus of hope and positivity to try to lift spirits and give somebody, you know, something to focus on, a sort of light at the end of the tunnel, shall we say. So for that reason, the community really kind of lapped it up, and they found alternative ways of engaging and communicating with each other, whether it was across social media or, you know, Instagram stories, tagging each other on social media channels, like hooking up in, you know, Microsoft Teams or Zoom or any other thing, FaceTime, whatever. And it actually seemed to, for many people, seemed to benefit out of it, but no replacing that feeling of being there. That's for sure.
Being in the same space. I'm just going to kind of ask now, because, you know, hearing from the audience, it's good to hear that some of you guys have attended these kind of events, and I'm sure there's probably more of you that have been that might not be so forthcoming right now about your own experiences. I'm just going to kind of take us back to like January, right? January 2020, when we heard about this thing going on in Wuhan. That was like, yeah, that's in Wuhan. Ain't they a rap group, Wuhan Clan or something? Like that's I ain't gonna worry about that. And business is ticking along as normal. You know, Roman, you've got your artists touring all over the place. You've got all the headache that comes with making sure that's going all right. All the requests are coming in. Kwame, the guys that you're dealing with, you're trying to set up tours. You're trying to make sure they're getting gigging and they're using that medium. Whereas you've got all your gigs going off, right?
It was going to be probably the biggest year for a lot of people.
Yeah. 2020 was supposed to be a lot of people's year.
2020 was set up for the biggest year for so many people on every level. Artists, managers, labels, you name it, everyone involved, the festivals. We were at an all-time high. The amount of festivals, the amount of shows, the amount of tours, the amount of tickets sold. It was going to be epic. And then
gone.
That's it.
You know what? I can't even imagine the amount of people, even in this audience now, that probably bought a ticket for a festival that was then, yeah, I'm seeing Hugo. Yeah, man. I feel your pain, bro. Yeah, Bob, that's you too. Yeah, you booked the ticket. Did you get the refund? Yeah, I hope you got the refund.
Yeah, I got the refund, but it goes deeper than that, man. Trust me.
It goes deep, yeah. I can't imagine how many people booked their festival tickets and then it just cancelled and then summer's gone. So I'm looking at that now and I'm thinking, what I'm imagining is actually people like Dave and Craig, business started going up for you guys. All of a sudden, streaming became the buzzword. Whereas Roman, Wez, Kwame, the game's done change now. I have to evolve my tactics. Going to Craig and David quickly. Craig, David, there you go. Craig and David. Going to Dave and Craig. I mean, maybe Craig first. Did you notice a surge in business? Did you notice more and more people coming to you to get involved with the whole streaming side of things?
Yeah. Okay. Let me give you a bit of a narrative and walk you up through the path that happened. So first of all, I just want to encourage the guys watching this is that, shit happens. This is this was a big shit, but it happened. So you basically have two choices. You can whine about it, or you can actually try and turn it on its head and look at it. This is a challenge. I'm being challenged. The universe is talking to me without being too spiritual about it. I'm either going to whine about it or I'm going to rise to the occasion. And that's what a lot of our clients came to us with. They said, look, we don't know how to handle this. What can we do? They weren't whining about it. They were reaching out, trying to be proactive and seeing, look, it is what it is. What can we do about it? So we had a look at this and we collaborated and helped them out in a couple of things. So that's your normal reaction from a commercial point of view. From a personal point of view, I was really annoyed because I was looking forward to seeing two of my favorite bands. One is Pearl Jam and the other one is Above and Beyond. And I was really annoyed that I wasn't able to see those guys. And I thought, we've been doing this tech for so long now. What if we could enable those bands to still play together and actually, make live events happen? So we developed some tech and came up with 2 products that basically allow people remotely to play together, even if they're actually quite far away. And we then thought, okay, so we can bring this into market, but the way to do that is actually to go and do something practical. So we collaborated with a whole bunch of guys, very talented outfit called World Jam. And if you guys go to a YouTube channel called World Jam, you'll see a whole bunch of musicians, no matter what they're playing, all playing together, almost in time, sometimes always in time, depending on their tech connection, because it is the internet at the end of the day. And they were just having a wonderful time, and they were making it happen. So it was very similar tech to what we were doing. But the problem that we had was that at that time, a lot of artists were saying, "I've lost my livelihood. I can't go to the pub and play my guitar or go and DJ, to a live set." So we thought, okay, well, if we're going to bring this tech to market, what we need to do is also solve the other problem, which is make sure we can monetize this for those artists. And you can't do that on something like YouTube or Facebook. We're one of the launch partners for Facebook Live and Facebook 360, but you can't do that easily. So we then hooked up with The Floor, who do allow you to build a community and also then get remunerated, even if it's just somebody saying, "Look, you know what? I'll give you £2. Doesn't mean anything to me, but you've given me 3 hours of entertainment. It hasn't cost me anything. Why not give you £2? Because it'll encourage you to do it, keep doing it, and I've had a good time." So there are ways that you can rise to the occasion and form new collaborations and and solve the problem. That's what I keep telling my kids. You got a problem, you can whine about it, or you can solve the problem. Define it, solve it, reach out for help, and do something about it. So from a commercial point of view, we have actually proved that you can use tech to solve this problem. The biggest issue that we've got, and that's been like this for 21 years since we first started, is that the perception has always been that it's on the internet and therefore it's free. And that's still one of the biggest problems to overcome. People paying for entertainment on the internet that they assume needs to be free. So I'm sure we'll talk about monetization and stuff later. But getting back to, I just wanted to give you that lead up to that point. So going back to solving the problem for clients, we've always been quite busy. But rather than actually being busier in terms of our streaming, what we found is that people wanted to do things differently. So our big growth area has been virtual conferencing, for example. So no, it's not music, but it's virtual conferencing. People couldn't go to the Excel Center in their thousands, but they still needed to actually have their stores and their showcases to show their products. So we've basically taken all the components of our tech and rebranding or rebolting them together in different ways to make that happen for people. And later on, TJ, I want to talk a bit more about what we can practically do as a recommendation to you guys, to do that and do something that's actually quite different. So we'll come back to that later.
I'm always down to hear that, Greg. Yeah, anything that we can do to kind of improve the world of events and what we're doing in this climate. Dave, you use The Floor, and I've seen some sort of grassroots artists use your platform. And for those of you that haven't seen it, check it out. It's a very good way of building up a following and monetizing content, guys. So kind of like what Stanley was doing, like doing your set, doing your performances, but getting a subscriber base and following. Dave, have you noticed you've got more people using that platform? Has it been a busier time for you?
We were still in like version 0.4. We had a big plan. A lot of our plans for the great 2020 vision year got crushed. We had lots of physical gigs planned. We were partnering with the O2 Academy to do some streaming of some of the artists and founders of The Floor at some of their gigs. We were going to be like the creative partner at one of the biggest Gen Z brand conferences in the world, meeting brands, see if we can. I like Geko, Groovy Geko to me, very innovative company, pushing lots of boundaries technically, and I think there was a lot of people doing streaming before. So our view was we did some streaming about 18 months ago with Steam Down, who are actually a CAA related band, award-winning band from Defected in South London. We did some hybrid streaming where we experimented with it.
I know them guys.
We did some tests with version 0.1 of the code, which was their physical community. It's very much about a creative community appreciating music, and we streamed some of their gigs. People were paying £6 a month, we didn't ask them to. It wasn't even ready, and it wasn't even a value proposition. So I think before the pandemic, we'd experimented with hybrid. We think that's the way forward. is to have a hybrid experience. People that can't make it, international fans. For us, we're just like trying things out, like streaming across all platforms and loads of people's pages at once. You know, every platform, all of our pages at once, one performance, monetizing some of that. We tried lots of things. In pandemic, for us, we just got people earning money. We got people that, like someone mentioned, Nile Rodgers, like Nile Rodgers, Abbey Road Award winner. He normally makes a loss on a sellout. So we did some sellout gigs with him in London. He normally makes a loss on a gig. He streamed in pandemic, £5 a ticket. He made more money than he's ever made from a gig online. I know it's not the same as a physical experience. I think hybrid's good because we're good at next best thing. Humans are good at next best thing. Think back to being a kid with a steering wheel with no car on it. I mean, we're good at imagination and plugging the gaps in this sort of pandemic situation. But like for me, I think, you know, like it goes back, I sort of put it into different buckets. There's like professionals, people that are actually working it's really hard to make money. You know, even I know from my royalties how they've crushed over 35 years. You know, I mean, it's hard to make money in the music business. If there is such a thing as a music business, it's kind of like a data business now. It's an online data driven thing anyway. It was before pandemic. I think, you know, as an artist, you've got to have passion, authenticity, a work ethic, like as Craig says, overcoming those mental voices that try and stop you, being consistent in producing some outputs. You've got to have a product if you want people to pay. I mean, a lot of people don't like asking for donations because it feels like begging, you know. But if you've got a product and you work hard at it, you know, my feeling is the pandemic started to teach people that actually we're stronger together. If we glue together, if we stop thinking about this gamified trophies of 10,000 followers, 100,000, a million competition, instead of everyone being the competition, how about everyone's sharing a genre, sharing their lives, collaborating, trying to get greater reach? The biggest problem in the internet, which has been highlighted by pandemic, is you can't get to the public. They don't know. You can't even get your own following. If you build up a really good following, you do a post, it gets to like 2 to 8% unless you pay to reach your own following. And the whole of the big platforms, like advertising to your own following even, or reaching a new crowd, it's not designed for this. It's designed for having a product that's worth at least £35. So you trying to advertise to your own followers and get your own following online.
Can I can I pause you there? Stan, do you agree? Because Stan, you're someone that gets a lot of engagement. I'm going to come to the other guys as well, but Stan, you post, you get engagement. Do you agree with what Dave's saying here about it sort of being like you're basically paying to you have to do sponsored posts to reach your audience, or do you think you can get to them organically?
I don't know today because I've been doing this for a long time now. But what I just want to say is about what if, you know, all of you guys are very, very established. Everyone that's on the panel, you guys have all worked with very big artists. But what I'm more interested in is what about a lot of the people that here that are listening, students and stuff like that, possibly don't even have a following. And that's my kind of main concern is like, somebody that doesn't have a following can't use that platform to just go on and just say, hey guys, give us 10 quid, I'll do a show. It's like, well, I'm not giving you 10 quid. I don't know who you are. And right now, where it might seem daunting to create a following in a time when you can't go and do live events, you can't get gigs, you can't do any of that kind of stuff. But to be honest, I agree with everyone in the sense that that this is a challenge and you have to rise to the challenge. And you know what? Everyone's all of a sudden been put on a level playing field, and it's up to you to figure out the best way to excel and do that kind of stuff. And I agree with Dave. I'm so big on content and consistency when it comes to doing this kind of stuff. I'm on, if I were to stream today, since March, it would be day 197 of streaming. So
you're on a roll.
Well, that's basically it. You just have to kind of just keep doing this over and over again. And then it might sound like a grind, but in essence, that's kind of what it is, unless you're one of those people that makes a track and all of a sudden, you know, a 100 million streams or something, you know, that can happen. But it's up to you. And also, this is the perfect time to be making content because no one else has anything better to do. You just stay at home, just make your content. This is the perfect time for you as an artist to like, don't sit around and have a little whinge about like, oh no, something, you know, no one's watching my things or whatever. What is the perfect time to make it better so people will want to watch it? Because at the end of the day, I mean, this, and it really, really, really annoys me, especially with stuff like on Twitch and everything. I'm on a lot of forums about, especially the Reddit Twitch channel, the Reddit Twitch subreddits and stuff like that. And everyone's like, "Oh, how do I get more people to view my stream?" Like they'll literally stream to no people for hours on end. But this is the thing. Streaming to no people and then doing the same thing over and over again is not going to get you more viewers. It's like dividing. It's like dividing by zero. You know, like multiplying by zero. You've got zero. You can't just multiply zero. You have to provide something else. You got to provide that multiplier. You got to provide something that's good. So if it's not working, then try something else. And and even before the pandemic, if you're an artist, it's literally like, excuse language, but like it's throwing shit at a wall and seeing what sticks. And this is the perfect time to be throwing a whole lot of shit
and seeing what sticks.
Yeah.
Roman, I see you nodding at times. I see you disagreeing at times. I mean, you've got top tier artists, yeah, that is like, wow, we were doing shows all over the gaff. How many of them are coming back to you going, I don't know what the hell to do right now, or this isn't working for me? And how many of them are like, actually, they've utilized this and they're killing it and taking it to another level and keeping you busy than ever?
I mean, such a big topic. I think just to slightly rewind on some of the previous comments and thoughts, this is a huge opportunity. You know, a year ago almost the world changed, and as people have said, this is a great opportunity. We can either whine about it, complain, or we can actually get in the front of it and drive it forward. And there's been a lot of people that have been very active, many of us here, many of us across the industry, of really championing this sort of world. I think it's very important to understand that it's not the live touring business. It never will be, and we shouldn't compare these apples and pears. They're two completely different worlds. This is about online streaming and the performance around that. And I think what's incredibly important, or what the pandemic has shown, is that everyone is woefully represented online. Just because they were giving it away to Facebook and to Instagram and to every other port, they didn't own their own content. They didn't have their own fan base. They got caught up in all the likes and the shares and the views and all the rest of it. And because there was the live industry there that was fueling it, and that was essentially paying for it. And we were using the online as a sort of promotional tool. And to be fair, and maybe to our own detriment, electronic music and DJs were so quick to adopt like live streaming, boiler room style, that it did make a lot of artists' careers. So, but this, as I said, this pandemic has sort of like completely wiped the slate clean. We've suddenly gone, oh my God, we've got to start again. And that's what we have to do. We have to start again. The narrative has to change. The language has to change. The attitude needs to change. And I think we need to sort of start really challenging ourselves about, it's not going to happen instantly. Look, you know, Spotify is 12, 13 years old, but year one, 1 million subscribers. Year 12, 13, 250 million. It's going to take time. It's the same as an artist's career. It takes time. There are no shortcuts. Creativity, talent rises to the top pre-pandemic, during the pandemic, and after the pandemic. There, unfortunately, will always be artists that sadly will not get recognised for whatever the reasons, because it's just so much traffic out there. So everyone is fighting for attention, and everyone is now starting to see the potential value or asset of performing online, in theory, to the rest of the world simultaneously. But even that is such a massive concept. Not even Apple, Facebook, and Google can do it, but to everyone at the same time in one go. So I think we equally need to sort of come back a little bit and sort of be fair with ourselves and understand that this is going to be a challenge. It's going to take time. And what I think is really important now is that artists, managers, labels, promoters, festivals, whoever you are, whatever it is that you do within the music industry, need to start looking at and addressing your own digital real estate. And what I mean by that is it's not just about what you can get for free on all your social media channels. It's actually looking at, you know, and I'm looking at Wez and just thinking about, because I've worked with the guys, is when you look at a brand, and the brand can be an artist or a band or whatever it may be, even a sports brand, even a, you know, phone company, they're all starting to look and realize, actually, I wasn't really communicating with my fan base. I weren't really sort of getting down and really engaging my fans, whoever they might be, or their customers. And now people are really started scratching their head because they can't do it in the normal way, certainly in the live industry. But everyone, every single company is moving online in whatever shape, form it is. Yeah. So supermarkets are doing.
What have I missed there, Roman? Because everyone's been doing Facebook, everyone's been doing social media, everyone's been doing this. So when you say we're not,
well, it's to the point where you might have all your fans on Facebook and Instagram, but it's not in your favor. They own that. You don't own that. Okay. Don't be under the illusion that you own your channel. You don't. You lease it, you rent it off these huge companies. That's what they service, and they market to their fan base. Yes, you can get a percentage, but hang on. If you've got 1,000, if you've got 100 fans, or 100 mates, or 1,000 mates, or whatever it is, surely you should be able to communicate to them 100%. All of them.
Without third party involvement, is that what you're saying?
Just without being clipped, ultimately. That's what the social media sites do through their marketing, is they clip it, you know.
Yeah, but I think that's the key point. I mean, overall, like, we're trying to figure out how do we make the most of the situation? How do we move forward? How do we get positive? And, you know, it is an opportunity for change, but the whole model was wrong before the pandemic. Like, you know, looking at artists that get millions of streams, 10 million, 20 million streams a year, they can't pay the rent before pandemic. So the new normal has to, like, as someone was saying, we've got to rewrite the whole thing. We've got to make it so that
opportunity to as well.
Instead of a music track being a commodity against which free users get their data sucked up and shown adverts, you know, companies like Groovy Geko, who actually have sponsored and paid artists directly, and for them to directly reach their community, that's that. We've got to rewrite things because it wasn't right before the pandemic.
Wes, you've had your hand up here, man, and I'm going to come to Ethan and other people. I'm seeing hands going up all over the gaff now, so I'm going to come to you guys with your questions. This is obviously sparking some combo. But Wes, you had your hand up. Very, very civil of you, Wes. You can jump in when you want, man. But what was you going to say, mate?
There's, I literally couldn't agree more with what Roman was saying. I mean, I want to speak to you guys as like students of Point Blank and like aspiring up and coming producers, DJs, musicians, because your digital marketing strategy is going to be one of the most important things that you do going forward. You have to understand that social media does now play a significant part in your development as an artist. Your growth and your engagement, I said this last week, fans bring fans, right? So focus on your community, understanding who you are, what it is you want to do, like-minded people, bring them in, improve your offering. As Stanley said, 180 days consecutively or whatever it is amazing. He's watching that just now makes me want to go and watch him on Twitch, right? It's one of those things where you just kind of keep on improving your offering, focus on your community, like listen to them, like come back round in a circle. You have to have a clear understanding and offering of yourself and your product, but consistency is key. And what will happen is you'll start to improve your reach and your engagement, and it will get you to some of the levels that that Dave was talking about with the floor, right? Because you're right, Stan, right now you might have one fan, yeah, but that one fan might be 2 tomorrow. It might be 4 the day after. It might be 8. It might be 100. You never know. There are also lots of opportunities for you that you can start to create content for yourself, which you can own, even though the platform, I understand Roman's point, is, you know, you can take ownership of that. Radio shows, you can create your own radio show and put it on SoundCloud. You can create your own live stream. Now, you might get taken down by certain social media sites, but there are other social media sites, Mixcloud, Twitch, that will allow you to broadcast and build your fan base there. You know, your social media strategy and your kind of visualization, your brand strategy, creating playlists for people, you know, making records, like collaborating with other people that have got fans, engaging in editorial, like creating a newsletter. It's like working your own promotional assets. All of those things would not cost you any money other than the equipment that is provided for you to actually make it on, i.e. a laptop, right? So if you do that and you focus on it, you'll start to grow. And then that reach and engagement thing, I mean, what Defected do, which does buck a lot of trends, and we've really focused on a community strategy over, I mean, the entire 20 odd years, but especially since the summer of 2017, we focused on a strategy where we were growing our audience, and it wasn't about the number that we were targeting. It was about the mindset and the culture. So we had a strategy which was called 10-10-20, which was to grow our community to 10 million by October 2020. Now, at the time, our community was a combined 1.6 million followers. But it wasn't about 10 million people. It was about, is this record good enough for 10 million people? Is this event good enough for 10 million people? If you focus your energies on your output and making sure, you know what, I want 1 million followers in 5 years' time. What do I need to do to be good enough for 1 million people? And your mindset will start to shift. And subsequently, the engagement will start to shift. And as long as your product and offering is a good one, because don't get me wrong, you can also be blinded sometimes, but as long as it's a good one, you'll start to grow and develop. And your reach and engagement can be above the numbers that Dave was referencing. You know, you can start to kind of really grow in your own space. And that would be my advice to you guys.
I think it's also about monetizing though. So like, you know, like what we've learned is that having a following, you know, you're better off having 100,000 or 100 real cultural fans than you are having tens of millions of followers that won't actually put, you know, if somebody gives you £1 for something, you don't need many real people to actually make some good money. And, you know, so it's kind of like, you know, what is a follower actually worth? I mean, do you how many gravestones have you seen with 10,000 followers? He had 10,000 followers. She had, you know.
Hey, you know what? Hey, don't speak too soon, Dave. We're coming to that generation where someone's epitaph is going to be, he went out big style.
Yeah, he almost made 100,000 followers. I guess all I'm saying is that, you know, like nature at the moment, the you know, natural selection, there's always been popular and like the top end, and there used to be a situation where you could go and do a lot of gigs and build up a community by doing hard work and gigging. There's been a lot of digital superstars, even with flat tummy secrets or skincare regimes, not necessarily very talented, but you know, I think do it for yourself. Do something. It has to be sort of commercialized product, it has to be consistent, but do it for you. Don't try and be anything, and work hard, like everyone's saying. But I think, like followers, it's inevitable. Social media is a gateway to the public, but then it's monetizing it with something, you know, delighting people and having a true fans. Because £1 actually implies a like. You know, if I give you £1, I kind of like you. You know what I mean?
I tell you what, Dave, I want to go to the questions. I really want to go to the questions. But
Sorry. Can I just jump in one?
I want to say something on that.
I'm going to take over the panel for a second. No, but we, I agree, Dave. But also, they're in the kind of modern era for some of these young people that their social media channels will become a commodity to some degree, and they also can monetize in other ways, like streaming, obviously Spotify and Apple Music. You know, if you're using your social channel to promote your assets, although you're not selling tickets and making as much money as those that are selling tickets, you can potentially still be making money through other alternative ways. And it's worth just kind of considering as they're developing themselves, I think.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that as well, and I'm going to come to Ethan next. But please use the raise hand function, actually, if you want to ask questions. And I am monitoring the chat as well. I'll come back to that. But I just want to respond to what Dave said as well. From an artist perspective, I have got the pound in pockets, and you've worked with Phoenix as well, who we sold CDs on the street. Old school, man. I'm old school. I've been on the street selling CDs, which is, and made decent money out of it.
Even go back to the tapes coming out the raves.
Yeah, exactly. And let me tell you, Roman, I've done it and I've made good money out of it. And I'll be honest with you, I've made good money out of it, but it doesn't convert to the kudos. Like when I look now, I wish I put that energy into my Spotify right now, because that's where the kudos is. Although I did get a lot of bookings, I got to travel around Europe and all these kind of things and do a lot of shows, but it doesn't reflect, those pounds in my pocket don't really reflect right now in the economy that is followers, streams, etc. So a little bit of both. I understand about the
land.
Ethan, what you got to say, man? You've been waiting patiently. Let me come to you.
My
guys.
turn.
Yeah. Kwame wants to say something, isn't it? But Ethan, go, Ethan, go.
I just want to say, so regarding with streaming on people's social medias, I remember back when the pandemic started, and the first thing I thought was, okay, I'm going to do the live streaming thing, which a lot of DJs had been doing. I bought my mount, got my little phone thing to hold it. I had my setup ready, told my friends, I had a decent viewing. And then the copyright thing happened, which obviously I wasn't aware about, and that consistently kept happening. So I just wanted to ask, what would anyone here advise be a good alternative to keeping consistent online without doing the live streaming? Because as you know, copyright is a big issue for DJs trying to do it on social media.
It's always going to be an issue. It's never not going to be an issue but there are platforms that will let you get around that. However, they might not be the best for discovery. Even something like Twitch, which right now will let you, they're getting really, really slammed with the MCA right now. And I don't know how much longer it will last. The only one that I've genuinely had consistent success with is YouTube, because their content ID system and all that kind of stuff. Basically what happens is you can stream and all that, but any ad revenue ends up going to the labels and all that kind of stuff. So they've kind of worked out their little bit of a deal. But Facebook doesn't do that. I mean, you go on Facebook, you stream on Facebook. I mean, if I stream on Facebook, I'm going to get taken down in 15 minutes. I'm going to play one song, and then it's just going to be like, bam, they're not going to give you a warning. It's just going to get taken down. But that's like, in terms of streaming, Twitch will let you do that. But the problem is, even though stuff like Mixcloud, and they're doing all this paid stuff and everything like that, the problem with something like Mixcloud is it's not really a very discoverable platform. And this is another thing that I want to talk about is, and I know a lot of you guys talk about, you need to have your independence of these companies. You don't own your stuff. And that is true, but you can't, as an artist, you can't get anywhere without these companies right now. You probably could still miraculously do some kind of grassroots thing. But if you're a new artist now and you don't have something, you don't have an Instagram, you don't have a TikTok or something like that. These are platforms, even Instagram personally, I don't think is a platform that is super discoverable. I made a TikTok and I literally uploaded one video. I put the right hashtags in. It was really good content, and I still only have one video up. It's got 350,000 views or something like that. And I from zero, literally, I didn't do anything. I just put the right hashtags and everything because it's a really discoverable platform. Now, is it monetizable? Not really. It's unless you're doing sponsored posts. You're not going to make money from that kind of stuff. But if you're talking about building an audience and all that kind of stuff, you need to find the right platform, exploit that platform, and you use that platform to bring people to somewhere where you can monetize stuff. So I'll use my Instagram, post stories like, oh, hey guys, 7 p.m. streaming on Twitch or whatever. And then people come onto there. It's doing stuff like that. There's a lot of platforms out there that will let you monetize, but whether they're going to be useful for building a following, probably not.
That's all part of your digital real estate. Do you know about Triller?
Nope. Yeah, it's like another version of TikTok.
It's an American version of TikTok. But they've got all the deals done with all the major labels. You know,
There's-
there are solutions happening, but you are right. You know, yes, there are all these services, social media platforms that we need to use. I think it's just changing the narrative, changing your point of view about what they actually do for you and what you get back in return. And you're absolutely right in terms of maybe it's a little bit more about navigating them and getting them all to point back into a situation, a project, a launch, an album, stream that is paid for or in some way. I mean, I know on Twitch or on a lot of other live streaming is that people are starting to look at the additional add-ons and upsells of things like album bundles, merchandise, special meet and greets. So again, it's kind of just becoming multifaceted, and we're all, you know, there's no right or wrong answers here. We're all working this out at the moment. Kwame, sorry, I jumped in there. You should jump.
It's fine, seriously. I just want to say, actually, the panel's been amazing. I've been taking loads of notes. I'm so impressed with it. Well done, Tijan. Superb, really good. Wow, don't know where to start. A couple of notes that I took. I put down. I come from a music business that has always, entertainment as a whole, always gets its ass kicked first. As in, it tends to be the first place that sort of feels it because it's entertainment and it's sort of counted as a bit as disposable income, and so it always feels it first, you know. We had piracy back in the day. Piracy, home taping is killing music, right? That was one of the first sort of slogans that came out. Then we got our asses kicked again by Napster. Then we had iTunes came along, but again, iTunes came, did its thing, set its tariffs, etc., and kind of ran away with the business, and the business had to catch up. Again and again, we faced the adapt or die slogan. And again, either we sort it or tech sorts it. The only difference I would say with this time, pandemic-wise, is that it's really made us think, because it's not a short, sharp shock. This is drawn out. This is, you know what? You're not discussing it with loads of people face to face. You are at home in your feelings, sitting there going, oh my God. And of course, at first, look, let's get this out of the way. The music business is hard. The entertainment industry is hard, right? Let's have that emblazoned on our chests, right? And let's take that as the start place, okay? So we forget our ego, we leave that at the front door, and we go, okay, one of the things said here, I took this down as a note, it was great. Passion, authenticity, and work ethic. I cannot remember who said it, but great at saying it. And this thing of, look, we all know as well that when the full business does come back, I get the feeling that it will be stronger because of what we've been through, right? We did have to there were a few things that had to be forced. Let's look at the fact that the narrative is now changing. Let's face the fact that, I mean, I spoke at one of the DCMS things the other day. It's like, and obviously now the labels, PRS, etc., are all being forced to talk, probably for one of the first times, to the DCMS. If you don't know what the DCMS is, it's the Department of Culture, Media, Sport. Okay, basically it's government, okay? And it's government being told, do you know what? Artists, the things that obviously live used to fill a way of earning, right? It used to fill a way of earning. What's happened, right, is obviously live has been taken away, stripped, okay? And we are in this position that has made everybody go, hold on a second. How do we make money from this? How are we gonna make, what? And as a result, now government is being pressured. So they're going, okay, well, we've got to listen, because we've heard streaming, if you're signed where your masters are not yours, basically, it's a very, very hard thing to make money from, right? So suddenly now, and this is all being caused, let's get it straight. The pandemic has caused this. Do not think the pandemic caused it, okay? Now, On the flip side, I have artists that own their own masters. I made sure they own their own masters. I have artists that we put their stuff out. They own their own masters. And on one song, they've streamed 50 million. Now, even if you do basic, or as Dapper would say, quick maths on that, you're at roughly 170 to 200,000 pounds, roughly on that, if you've done that amount, right? So yes, you can, but let's be clear, if you own your own masters, right? If you have a straight thing with either a distributor that is just you, just them, etc., and you are powering your own house, then yes, you can. But at the same time, it's not the same for everybody. And obviously, the other thing that is, as we call it in the MMF, which I'm a vice chair of, right? The way that writers are earning has streaming wise, it has not been good. It has not been good. Again, it's another thing that needs sorting. We do have leaky pipes to fix. You know, the simple truth is someone can write a song, think that they're earning, you know, £1, and really they're earning 40 pence because that pound has had to go through 3-4 sets of hands before, especially if it's, you know, being played on a European radio station, before it reaches back into the writer's hands. And sometimes it's even less, okay? So there's a lot that the pandemic has thrown up, but I would say this. As listening to Stanley talk, what I loved, right, was that where he's coming from really excites me because it's grassroots and I really, really get it. That thing of, you know what, start. It's important to start. Be crap at the start. It's okay. Get better, right? Shani Gonzalez is a person that I speak to pretty regularly. She's now Warner Chappell MD. She signed Travis Scott. She said one of the things she said was when he started, he did not just arrive as Travis Scott, billion streaming act. He started and loads of people were just like, no, right? So start, right? Not everybody, the other thing is not everybody's going to do amazingly well. There have been some amazing successes in the pandemic as well. Let's look at it. Versus. I don't know if anybody here has been watching Versus, the Versus series. Has anybody here watched Versus? If you have, put your hand up. All right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the Versus series, get a chance, VERZ, I think it is US or UZ, I think it is. Versus. They do things where it's one artist against another. No signal. It's been an incredible success. You know, Queer House Party. Again, if you're LGBTQ, has been an incredible success. Huge. They've done amazingly well. All right. So there have been these huge successes. And this whole thing of, do you know what? Start something. Start something. It echoes and it goes around and around and around. So I would say that. I would also say, yes, it's not just Stanley. Dave, what you were saying at the floor, that excites me too. Roman, great stuff. Great. Every panelist has come, Wez has come with great suggestions. Take them down and just understand that when the music comes back, when the full business comes back, it will be stronger. There's no two ways about it. All right. So yes, it is tough, right? We understand it to be tough. It's always been tough though. Don't get it twisted. Mic drop. I'm out.
Right, boy, you came with the positivity. I'm at the church of Kwame right now, man. I'm yes, Baptist.
This is why we have Kwame at Point Blank. It's because of stuff like this. Oh man,
motivated. But no, we needed that. We were talking before, and it was like it has been the start of the year 2021. Like in the UK anyway, we've gone in a full-on lockdown here, and it hasn't started the most optimism. And there is a lot of doom and gloom around. So it is nice to hear the optimism. And I was listening when we had Wez come and do his speaking here. I was thinking about all the events he had to shut down. But then when I heard the growth that he'd had through like the streaming and something, he had like 500 million growth on some of his streams and stuff. And I was like, wow, when the events open up, you're actually in a position of strength all of a sudden, because it's just made you have to investigate what you're doing. I want to make sure I'm introducing all those people that are patiently waiting with their hands up, because I feel very important to hear the student voice. So Hugo, you're like, yeah, it's my go. Don't worry, Daniel, I got you. Wade, I got you. Hugo, come talk to me, brother. Unmute yourself though, bro. It's your time.
Rookie error.
Rookie error. All right, this question's for Dave. So I did a quick Wikipedia search, and your background's in behavioral psychology and psychiatry. Very nice.
As a patient,
you've got the wrong guy.
I know some really good psychiatrists and behavioral. No, it's not my background. We did include it. Maybe it's someone else. I've been a customer. I've spent a lot of money. I've spent a lot of money on that shit.
Yeah, ask a question, Hugo.
So I
Go on, Craig's got a question for you, Hugo. If that's thrown your whole question out the pan, has it, or are you still on it?
Sorry, pardon? No, it hasn't.
Okay,
go for it, Hugo. Ask your question anyway, regardless. Just ask it.
Yeah. So I share your cynicism about social media, but social media companies like YouTube, Snapchat, Spotify, etc., they're at a competitive disadvantage if they're not addictive, and the floor is you want to turn that on its head. The floor is not about that. So how do you plan on tipping the streaming industry on its head and making the floor something?
So there's the theory behind it is that if you look at the history, I mean, look, like these big platforms, they never intended to turn out this way. We've had artists. We're talking about rights management. We've done hundreds of streams that were cut. The artists own the rights with major labels, and they were trying to reach their people and give them positivity in the first lockdown, and their streams were cut, doing their own songs on a guitar, So overcoming that means you just take away all the AI. Yes, of course, there's some PRS, PPL type discussions to be had, but at the moment, the online rights management is a bit of a wild west. The only way to stream without being cut is to have a private stream. Like the floor streams, we've been using all sorts of different technologies, testing them out. We've got a lot of advice from Geko, Groovy Geko. Sorry, I'm disrespectful by calling you by just Geko. But you've got to have private streams. You've got to take away the AI. It's got like the intelligence of about a 7-year-old in human terms at the moment. Like you go on Amazon, you buy a TV. There's a 7-year-old thinking, I think we should show you a bracket for that TV. AI is not that smart yet. It's smart in certain fields, but not others. So the floor is all about the theory of cooperatives, sticking together. So in history, the country like the UK was full of cooperatives, people clubbing together because they couldn't afford food. They clubbed together, they bought wholesale. There were thousands of them. Cooperatives for money. So like the co-op is, it started out as a food cooperative. It was one of the thousands that money, like borrowing money and buying homes, like building societies. You might think they're just a bank, but actually they were started as mutuals. They were actually people that had money lending it to people that didn't. Real people dealing with people. So the floor is all about actually gluing people together and actually aggregating all of that reach. Still using social. Companies like Spotify and others are really easy to use for consumers. It's all about making it easy for people to use. So they're always going to be needed for the front end in terms of ease of use. Mixcloud and others are trying their own apps to try and push their own apps. So the front door is important, making it easy for people. But for our view is make it a cooperative. Let's overcome a shared challenge together.
Okay.
Let's have one place that's about creativity, music, creativity of all kinds, and make it like the place that people go also for discovery, and do some showcasing. Let's just make some noise. Someone else just said it. Let's get on with some stuff. Let's just go live. Let's just get people doing their thing, getting active and sharing together, building a community of communities of creatives, and actually making some noise, trying to make as much noise as possible together and drawing attention, because we think that cooperative principle it's not a guarantee, but it's in history it's been quite a successful way of people overcoming a shared challenge.
The problem is sorry, I can't remember who mentioned this now, but discoverability. How do you address that without the AI addictive element?
So in terms of discoverability, I mean, the calculations in our research are that it takes about £50,000 a month to write. If you haven't done it organically, like Wez, for example, has worked really hard building like an ecosystem, and then he's kind of made use of digital as well. So he already has like earned the right to have a growth, you know, because he's had it naturally with hard work and real people. You know, a lot of the internet has got a lot of fakeness on it. You know, a lot of the followers aren't real. It can be up to 30%, you know, just aren't real people. They don't exist. You know, for me, the discoverability has to be just about making as much noise as possible, as often as possible, live across all platforms, like your own TV shows, going live and showcasing stuff. You know, our idea is to actually create our own sort of pirate channels, just like when pirate radio, and relying on curation. So like back in the day, you know, I grew up with like jazz, funk, soul. You know, back in the day when pirate radio first started, it was like amazing. It was like, oh my God, there's something that I actually feel something, you know, like from this music. Oh, that's what I like. That's where I belong.
Yeah. Dave, I have to say, I think you're totally right. I think the whole direct to fan thing, and I told the DCMS this. They were like, well, you know, if you think that this is wrong, I said, listen, understand that if you do, we've got a golden opportunity to sort shit out. That's it, because if we don't sort it out, tech has a very, very frightening way of basically just coming along and going, you haven't sorted it? Okay, we'll deal with that then. And you guys can catch up, right? And that's basically what happens. So, and I do really understand what you're saying. The whole direct to fan chain, it's coming.
It's fan club. We used to have them when all of you were stars in the sky.
Yeah, it's coming.
You know, we had fan clubs.
It's also, you can see this in I know from having conversations with some of the big American corpses that you can start to see it in the, let's say, the movie franchise business. Marvel, it's all about an ecosystem. It's all about going direct to fans. Disney, it's all about going direct to fans. Yes, they want to grow, but they also want to make sure that they are looking after their fan base as much as possible. But I mean, that's huge scale. I get that, but it's still the same mindset. Is, you know, you're one person, you multiply that to two. You get your family and your friends. Pre-pandemic, you're a new act, new band, new DJ. You play your mate's birthday. You play your mum and dad's wedding anniversary. You play the pub. You play the wherever. You go and do what it takes just to get in front of people, and that slowly builds and builds and builds. You do the toilet tour. You build and build and build. Ed Sheeran is toilet tour and pubs. That's what made him. You know, from that perspective, look at where he is. There was no shortcuts there. There was no sudden, you know, Willy Wonka gold ticket straight to the front of the queue. Those people are such a very, very minute percentage of the total. You can't think like that. You've got to think you're in the music industry. I'm going to be the most creative person I can. Consistency, a lot of people have been talking about consistency. It's absolutely paramount. You know, I would say that, you know, there's some of the most important things that we all look for, wherever we sit in the industry. We want to work with people that are creative, that have a story to tell, that have a narrative and a consistency to what they want to do, and a point of view. It's massively important. There's a lot of opinions here. You know, we've all got our take on what's happening. I think where we're at with the online performance, you know, kind of slightly back on top, is that we're at the beginning of a very big tidal wave. And I'll give you sort of maybe some perspective in that sense. Is, yes, we've got grassroots stuff and all the rest of it. Yes, we've got big acts doing some big streaming numbers, and they are starting to grow, and they are starting to sell, you know, some serious amount of tickets. The K-pop artists in Korea, you know, they're selling 750 to 1 million tickets for one online stream. They're generating income. It can be done with the right artist, with the right location, with the right production, with the right streaming tech, marketing, e-commerce, VR, AR, which is a whole nother topic. You know, you've got to bring it all round, and we've all got to work incredibly hard, maybe even harder than we've ever done. If you want an easy job, go to banking or become a coder, because that's where it's going as well. But
Wait, you went from banking to a hard job.
You went wrong. You know,
I agree with Roman. There's a couple of things I wouldn't mind saying. First of all, I'd like to bring. I mean, we're an hour and a half almost into this, and what I'd like to do is almost have a bit more empathy for the audience. You know, it's all very well for those guys, those young kids, to look at us old codgers and go, well, we've done this and that and 3.2 million here and everything. That's great. It gives them hope for the future and something to aspire to. But I wouldn't mind just seeing if we can give these guys a bit more practical. What is the next step? They say, great, I'd love to do that, but what's the next step? Because it's all about baby steps. The first thing I'd like to say is we've talked a bit about monetization. You guys are just starting out, with respect. You know, yes, if you want to go and do your Twitch thing and get donations or go to the floor and do all that stuff, go and do it. That's fine. But moderate your expectations. Maybe at this stage in your life, you're looking at building it's more important to build a following and do the hard work and do the toilet tour and all of that stuff, you know, online, rather than actually looking to actually get paid for it. You know, if you build it, they will come. The money will flow after the effort. There's that saying that I love: the harder you work, the luckier you'll get. You know, that's absolutely true. Rather than looking for pay-per-view, try and collaborate and get some sponsorship. Sponsorship is easier to deal with because the costs of pay-per-view are just ridiculous. In 21 years of streaming for some very, very large gigs and corporates and names, I hate pay-per-view. I don't encourage our clients to do it. I think we've done 5 pay-per-view events in 21 years, and I really discourage that. If you can get that money through donations and all that sort of stuff, that's cool. More importantly, going forward, I would like to just say that if I was Chantal or Vivek or Michael or Jay looking at this, I would be saying, what can I actually practically do? And what you need to do is look at the stuff that you are actually in control of. The social media platforms will be out there. Yes, you can harness them and make the very best out of them, but you're not in control of them. Harness them as a tool. That's all they are. What you are in control of is your talent. So what you need to do is try and leverage the system and the technologies out there to showcase your talent. It's about, as all of the guys on the panel are saying, it's about kicking ass, taking names, knocking on doors, and getting your stuff out there. One of the things that I would like to talk very briefly about is something that hopefully you will resonate with, and that is something called Zoom fatigue, which is a name that we may even have coined that, like in the early days. I mean, I spend most of my time on Zoom or Teams or whatever the flavor of the month is, or one of our own, platforms, and I'm sick of it. And I'm using this as an example because Tijan, can you allow me to share my screen? Because I want to show somebody. I can't show you the practical site of this because obviously it's going to want to take my camera.
You might be able to now. Give it a go, Greg.
Okay, where is it? Where's my share screen button?
Bob, Daniel, be aware. I'm coming to you guys. Yeah, so I know you've been waiting patiently. I am coming to you guys.
So what I'm trying to show you here is that rather than doing a YouTube live stream or something, find a platform that you can actually use that is something different, something that will make you guys unique, something that will help you collaborate. I still can't see the share button. Oh, there it is. Got it. Okay, it's come live now. So let me just find this very quickly. Here we go.
By the way, most of the people in Groovy Geko I found are musicians.
Yeah, we've got a whole bunch of them. Right, can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so all I want to show you on this is something that we've now incorporated into our corporate platform, and it's called spatial.chat. So I'll put the link in the chat, but it's called spatial.chat. It's free for up to 4 people, so you guys can go in anytime and go and look at this. Essentially what happens is that you go in and you get this thing called a canvas. See this black area here? Can you see my mouse moving?
Yeah.
So basically this is a canvas area, and when you register, there's me over there as Craig. So when you register, this is your avatar, but it's live. It's animated. My camera and my audio is live. So you can see me in this room over here. These are the other people that are in the room. And these boxes that you see over here are live sources. So when I drag my avatar through over here to the presentation area, I will hear what this guy is saying. If I then move this over here to this person, let's say that's Chantal, if I move next to Chantal and I can have a conversation. Okay, and then if Jay joins us, the 3 of us can have a 3-way conversation.
So it's kind of creating more of an environment like being in different rooms.
Exactly right. Now to bring, so that's the tech in a nutshell. But going back to what I think you guys could potentially do is that this is just one, there's a lot of echo. I hope that's not
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. It might be.
Maybe you guys all just want to mute or something. Let's bring this down to your sort of your sort of point of view. These are live YouTube videos that I've just embedded in this. Okay, so this is one room. Let's say this is the live DJ set. So for example, Point Blank could use this mechanism to do a showcase for all of you students, and you would have various rooms. So this room, for example, would be Stanley would be the the chair or the moderator in this room, and that would be a live set coming in from Twitch or from YouTube. Then we could have another room which is like live stuff. People are playing out on live looping on their door. You could have another room which is not live, but it's basically playback. And they could then, for example, collaborate with, let's say, friends that they know in other colleges that are doing visual art. Have like a techno art stuff being played. So what I'm suggesting here is that there is other tech available, and you're very welcome to go and look at this. It might even be considered to do this, as part of the Point Blank, showcase. And you can set up these rooms, and then you can invite people, your friends and family, to come into these rooms. It's something different. It's something that creates a buzz.
What is this called? This might work for showcasing and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's called spatial.chat. So I'll put the link in. But any of you guys can go in after this, register. You just register for free, and you can have up to 4 people in here, and you can add these live YouTube or on-demand YouTube streams.
Spatial.chat, yeah?
Yeah. So what I'm suggesting here is basically this is just one example of embracing new tech or interesting tech that other people haven't potentially seen before, and coming up with something new. And what I would suggest there is that you collaborate with other people. It's not enough just to be in control of your content. It's a very narrow view to say, because there is so much noise. I mean, I think Wez used the word traffic. There's so much traffic out of there. I use the term noise. And in fact, I think Kwame says there is a lot of noise there, but if you want to make noise, make your own noise. And this is one way of embracing technology to make your own noise. So it's something that's different. Just going back to the last point there in terms of collaboration, everybody else is doing live DJ sets. Everybody else is doing this. You need to do something different. You need to look outside of your comfort zone, outside of your ecosystem, look at other things in your ecosystem. I use the example of maybe there is another college or people that or friends that are doing live visual arts. Just like, you guys are DJing live, maybe somebody else is doing visuals live. So collaborate with those guys, get them involved, and then actually set up something like a room inside Spatial Chat, invite some people, and see what happens. It's not a bad idea.
But also start. That's
exactly.
Let's getting really just down to, sure, we can all give you examples, and very true, Craig, what you're saying. We can give you huge examples, but start.
Start, do lots, and fail fast.
Yeah,
fail fast.
And you know what? It's all right. Like that thing that you are thinking about doing, the thing that you are seriously thinking about doing, just go, do you know what? Every day for the next 3 weeks, I dare you all, for the next 3 weeks, every day, an hour and a half, I'm just going to commit to it. Just to doing it. Just to trying to understand it and just do it. And that's it. And then at the end of the three weeks, do the same thing. All
right, let me go to Bob. Let me go to Bob, because that background, that you're in the Matrix, man.
Yeah,
I'm calling you Neo. What's
I
good?
actually use this on my live stream. Like this same background.
Yeah.
So obviously before all this, I was a sound lighting technician in nightclubs. So obviously that hit.
Would never have guessed with that background.
I know, right? Like when I say when it went deep, I was about this far from being one of the lighting techs at Printworks. That's why how deep that got. So yeah, the collaboration side of things. You don't really see a lot of venues supplying their space for the live streams, essentially. Obviously, for collaboration side of things, I actually think that would be quite good, really, because, for example, we had up in Lightbox, I had steps in just to do a little live stream or like recording or whatever. That's good use of the space, and we don't see that. Which venues was? I mean, because you're Defected, isn't it? So.
We did Ministry of Sound, Printworks, Collins Theatre, the Heineken building in the Netherlands. God, I can't. We've done a lot actually. So the clubs, like, but when the oh God, what lockdown are we on? 3? When the sort of 2.3 was around, or whatever version it was. There was a version where we were just like, you know what, the government is just not doing enough. So let's do some shit for the cult, like raising the kind of awareness for the culture. And we hired a load of people that, like you, actually, that made redundant or out of work, and we paid them to work on our live stream facilities while we could still broadcast. This was in the summertime when people could actually still meet other people outside. And we ended up doing a whole campaign around it. So we contacted about 40 venues and clubs and went, can we do this from your club? And they, mostly all of them said yes, actually. So we just used it as an opportunity to promote the club and the people that used to work there. So we hired and paid them to do the broadcasting. So yeah, like you're right. Like you're right. There's, that's why we did it, was because we didn't really see many people doing it. But then I guess that was probably also down to legislation and restrictions, right?
Yeah, especially now as well. It was all right, we could meet up in however many people. And after a while, I mean, I think it got to a point where actually people just stopped giving a shit and meeting up in bigger groups. But I'm trying to get to my point now. Just throwing myself off.
Well, while you think of that, maybe I'll just quickly go to Daniel, who's also been waiting very patiently. Daniel, what's your question, my brother? What are you going to say?
Hey again. Yeah, well, what I wanted to ask is when all of this COVID pandemic situation gets over, let's hope it will be over sometime, and when people can get back to festivals and to clubs and can go back to party and everything, and when the business is back to normal standards, what do you guys think is going to happen with live streams, with all the streaming services, with all that you guys are doing? Like, I don't know, for example, is Defected going to keep doing the Defected virtual festivals, or what is Stanley going to do next? I mean, when everything gets back to real life and to like all how it was before.
Okay.
It won't get back to how it was before.
No.
We are in the new.
Yeah. I was going to say,
genie is out of the bottle.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're just going to carry on. I think if you imagine your football or your boxing match, I'll use this analogy, is that you've always got a football match, it's physical. You've got a boxing match, it's physical. You're going to buy tickets ringside, you're going to see it, or go to the stadium, you're going to be your season ticket holder. There's always a pay-per-view model, and there has been through TV for the longest time. So now I think the really smart cookies out there are starting to realise, I'm going to build my digital real estate and I'm going to run it on top of my live performance real estate, and I'm going to really grow my brand. And this is, as I mentioned earlier, this is why people have been caught napping with what they've got. So, I can quite honestly see a model, once a lot has been worked out and we're still dealing with a lot of issues, be it licensing or making these live performances sticky, as in really engaging in what people want to watch and see. But I can and I'm working on stuff as well, but I can quite easily see festivals or shows or performances or whatever it may be, where people go to the physical show for that experience and that emotional connection. Thank you very much. We're right there at the front having an amazing time. And then there's going to be people who just simply can't go there for whatever reasons. Another country, a different time zone, whatever your situation, but they can plug in to the show and get a completely different experience, their own experience to it. And that is their one-to-many experience. And then we're going to start to see technologies go the other way, where we're going to have the many-to-one experience. For me, I find it the most exciting. This is possibly one of the most exciting times.
I was saying this, I think we were having a conversation previously, Roman, and I said, I don't think the streaming ticket will ever go. It now changes that whole thing where events organizers were very much limited to the capacity of a venue. Yeah. So you put on an event and let's say it's at London's Jazz Cafe, which is quite a well-known venue, but quite a small venue. The capacity is 400. So you're now limited to what kind of act you can book there, because you can only sell so many tickets, and it has all kinds of constraints, the fact that you can only sell 400 tickets. Now everyone's going to go, well, you know, there's a tiered ticket system, and Wes, you may agree or disagree because you've been doing so many events, you might think what I'm talking is absolute rubbish, but I feel that the events people will now look and go, there's a two-tier system where, okay, venue tickets sold out, streaming tickets still available, and will utilize. So ultimately, you've got an unlimited pool of tickets to sell because, all right, you can't be there, but at least you can watch it.
And
I think in the medium term, we're like caged animals. Hedonism's going to be at the highest it's been for a long, long time. And you're not going to keep people down. They're going to go out. They're going to see their friends. They're going to go to each other's houses. The internet screen time is going to be down 80% for a period of time once we're able to go back out. Now, in the longer term, you're right. There are going to be lots of people that go, hang on a minute, I kind of missed that virtual activity. I can't go out. I've got a kid now, or I've got no money and I just want to sit indoors, or, you know, I'm 50. What am I going to do? It's like, there's all going to be all sorts of reasons why there might be a strategy for it. And I agree. I do think that it will carry. I think that in the long term, there'll be something there, but in the short term, I just think the internet's going to lose about 70% of its current usage. It's like people are going to want to go out. They're going to want to
Let's party. Like, I mean, it's getting to the point where everyone's, look, I know a lot of people are going to die, but we need to have a party. I'm really sorry to all those people. It's frustrating.
Have changed. Over this year, habits have changed. All our habits have changed. And I agree, it will go back. But we're also creating these new habits with the way that we do things, the way that we consume, the way that we're, you know, are we buying as many clothes as we used to? No, but we're buying more food because we're all at home. You know, it's those things. And of course, they will come back. The pendulum will swing back. But then we've got a choice now. We've got a choice. Well, should we go down this way or this way? And invariably, it'll be somewhere down the middle. Won't it? In that sense.
I want to. Roman's right on that. I mean, I'm sorry, Kwame. That's the second time I rudely interrupted you. I won't do it a third time. But Roman's right. Is that I study psychology and sociology. It takes 30 days to create a habit, and we've been under these circumstances for a lot more than 30 days. So, Kwame, I apologise to you, mate. Over to you.
No, it's fine. What people are saying here, I definitely agree. And again, I will say, you know, how have I been affected? And I'll be straight up about it. Yes, you know, TJ knows, March last year, COVID. I was in hospital, hooked up to machines, everything coming off of me, the lot, all right? I came out, it took me basically three and a half months to recover. But I will say, yeah, COVID's terrible, and we could all have done without it. Let's put your hand up and say that. But at the same time, I go to myself, would the Black Lives Matter movement have happened without the pandemic? Nah, it wouldn't have. Is that important to me? Yes, it bloody is. There are so many things. The fact that, as I said, the DCMS now is actually being forced to actually look at the way that artists, the way that all of you are going to earn, and are actually turning their eyes towards big companies and going, hold on, these people are the creators, and yet they seem to be last in line when it comes to the handout. So I'm just talking generally, of course, right? So there are a lot of benefits. Also, how have I been affected? Well, I've got the ultimate seminar that we do every year. We normally do it at, in either at a university campus or whatever, and we take it over, and, you know, hundreds and, well, 1,000 plus people come to it, right? This year, Nikki just said, we've got to go virtual. And we had to learn to go virtual. I mean, I had a time, I'll be straight, I had a time where I was, you know, I had my ironing board with 3 computers on it. Right? I've got a picture of it. I'll show you it another time. But
looking like a B grade version of Morpheus,
mate. 3 computers on it with the screens, and it was just like, you know what? Make it work. That's it. You know, that's one. And then another thing, a company I started, GuruShack.io, which I started with Johnny and a couple of other people. We started the business, and it appeals to basically this. I was like, hold on a second. There are loads of people putting out music, loads of artists putting out music that want assured people that do their artwork, assured people that are video makers, assured people that are actually good radio pluggers that aren't actually just going to take their money at like $2.5 grand a month and run. All right, let's get people basically that get people's downtime, and let's sell that. So that's what we did, and it's really worked as a business. So all of that has come about from pandemic, and that's me having to alter, as well as all of the acts that I have on the roster. We've had to think of Blue Lab Beats. I actually think in the pandemic they have rocketed. You know, they're the things that they do. They're on TikTok now. They're this, they're that. They're doing stuff every day. They're doing stuff every day or every couple of days, and them on Reels now. You know, one video is 50,000, another video 40,000, and you're just like, yeah, okay, cool. And they only put it up a few weeks back. So
I'm well aware of the clock now, guys. So I want to make sure that we really, pay respect to all these guys that are here with all their great questions. And I'm loving the responses. So grateful, and just justifying that this panel I put together has got some great opinions in there. Go on, Wade. What you want to ask, brother?
I just wanted to say that I kind of think it's open season at the moment, and I don't think it's going to stay that way. And I think for a lot of people who are studying at point blank, acquiring massive amount of knowledge, have fun, think about it, but don't take it too seriously. Maybe the gates are going to close a little bit. It's not going to change, because right now you can put yourself out there, go direct to consumer, make off ad revenue, build everything you want to build for free, more or less. And I just don't think I think something's going to happen where it changes. So I just wanted to say, like, my idea of it is just to keep everything fun. I think some of us take it too seriously. We worry a little bit about all the negative comments that people are going to make, and am I going to be able to deal with that, and all these things. And I just say, like, have fun with it, stay positive. Maybe it won't ever go back to how it was before. Maybe we're moving into an artificial intelligence time. Even if you look at plugins right now, everything's AI. Have a look at some of Isotope's plugins. It's crazy what they're doing right now. So I just think, I just wanted to say, have fun with it, stay positive, and remember all that kind of wealth and knowledge we kind of amassed at Point Blank as alumni and current students. That's what I wanted to really say.
Thank you for that, Wade. Appreciate your comments, man. Appreciate that. Max, what are you saying, man?
Hi, guys. Yeah. So my question was, as an aspiring artist and producer, only just turning 17, what do you think the chances are for people like me, or necessarily older people who have a bigger platform or have really been wanting to get out and expose themselves to different audiences this year? What do you think their chances are coming back into the music industry once COVID has, normalized? I know a couple of you mentioned before that it's not going to get back to normal. There'll still be some sort of streaming, but do you think there's a better chance or a less chance of upcoming artists getting a chance to perform once we come out of the pandemic? Well, not out, but
what was said earlier. What was said earlier.
Sorry to interrupt, but what occurs to me, Max, is you're probably right on the cusp of, I was about to have my first live gigs. I'm 17 now. I'm allowed to be in these venues, maybe, some of them. And it's like, all of a sudden, we've had a year of lockdown. You probably haven't even had a chance to perform live. So when things change, is that a better opportunity for you? Or is now a golden moment, I guess, is part of what
I think, yeah.
Your question.
as also you were talking about earlier about making the most of this situation and you know the time that we're in, not moaning about it, and you know going forward and making the most of sitting at home and being in lockdown. I mean, I did that over summer. I only started my kind of career in May and had help from a couple of really great DJs and Chris Moehl, who was a Radio 1 DJ. So he helped me, and that's when I took advantage of the situation. I knew was doing stuff to my schoolmates, and then it kind of started taking off over the summer. So I suppose, as you said, making the most of the opportunity that we have. And it's not a great, you know, situation we're in, but trying to take the positives out of it, and it's a, you know, really key point.
But every single person in the world is in exactly the same position. So there's no advantage right now. We just have time. So
if anything, it's actually probably good for you because like if you're it's like 18 is illegal. I don't know. I'm from Australia, so is 18 the legal drinking age here or something? It is, right? Yeah. Well, you know, this is like hibernation for everybody, and then you can catch up with everyone while you're still getting, you know, before you turn 18. And as Wez, sorry to cut you off, Roman, but like as Wez was saying earlier, people are gonna be crazy when this whole lockdown ends. People will be wilding out. There's gonna be parties coming out everywhere. It's probably the best time to get your first gig.
I have to say, I don't think it matters, Max. You have no control of that. You know, I think you need to do. Why do anything different now? If you're committed, why do anything different now compared to next week when we all go back to normal? Just do your thing, man. Do as much.
I think that's true.
To me, fail as soon as possible. You know, so you can learn.
I think there's those that are creating. I mean, I know it's, you know, you get blocks and things like that, and it is a bit depressing. We're all carrying a load of stress, hidden stress. You know, there's going to be a big fallout, not just a load of partying, but there's going to be a load of post-trauma about this. But it's brought us all together. It's brought humanity together. Someone said, I can't remember who it was, but you know, 2020 was a truth machine year. It was a truth machine. You know, a lot of things have been coming out, and all I would suggest is that, you know, just like someone was saying earlier, just do some stuff that makes you happy. Like take the emotion and the situation and the frustration and get creating. Use it, you know, get that emotion and energy into some outputs, some riffs, some lyrics. You know, like build up some content. You've got time. Yeah, you've got choices as well. Like life is full of time and choices, as far as we know. We know we've got time. Let's make some choices about using our creativity to actually kind of make some stuff that captures the frustration, the emotion, that kind of thing.
And I think, you know what, to add on to that, you know, I think this is the time where we actually do have time. And as I just said, like, this is like hibernation mode for a lot of people right now. And the industry is the live music industry. I mean, outside of what we're talking about, this live streaming and everything like that, is in a hibernation mode. And this is like the perfect time and to make content and just try what Kwame said, just get started, you know. Do something.
My kids are 21 and 18, so probably a spectrum of ages of a lot of you guys. But I tell them that life is paused right now. There's never a better opportunity to figure out who you want to be than right now.
Very well. Daughter's 24, my son's 22. Both of them in pandemic. Not saying it hasn't been hard. It has been hard, but both of them in the pandemic have flourished. In my opinion, daughter started a vegan food, Healthy Filth. There you go. I can tell you where to go. Go to Healthy Filth on Instagram and you check out loads of vegan recipes. She does that, and then she's turned that, taken the actual name of the brand, and she did gift boxes that she sold over Christmas that had, you know, skin cream in it, blah, this, that, which she made in the kitchen at home. You know
you guys are asking about how to get your name out there. Just get your dad to plug you everywhere. That's it.
Yeah. Everyone needs Kwame as their dad. As it goes, my mum's in here, so she'd be like, "Yeah, my son is 39 and he's doing
a trade. Get a proper job."
He's been on Point Blank and he's been doing all these streaming events ever since the thing, and he's doing great. Felipe, our head of DJ Society. Am I right, Felipe? I'm right, am I?
Yes.
That's right, man. If you're a DJ and you want to join up with a rep with one of our societies, come speak to Felipe, because, you know, He leads that. And when we're doing live gigs again, he's going to be linking up with me and Koi. We're going to be putting on events, and he's your man. So talk to me, Felipe. What's your question, bro?
Just to touch on the things that Wes and I think Dave spoke about, like being like you spoke about when like clubs open again and events open again in the medium long term, selling tickets to stream as well as once the events is sold out. I just think, do you not think that's like you'd be damaging the culture, the scene, by trying to earn money instead of providing people the experience? Like nightclubs and stuff, like we're just talking about phones and stuff, is a space where you just like want to be free. Like I know there's places like Boiler Room where they like film everyone dancing and stuff, but it's a place where you just want to be yourself and you don't, you know.
No, let me. I just want to say something on this one, Felipe, and then obviously everyone will let the experts talk. But I'm just like, we're in a generation where you could be walking down the street and you're in someone's Instagram story. I mean, we are just getting used to being on film in general. Every time I'm in the club and it's popping off, I still do turn up in the club every now and then, and you're sort of jigging away. You got a couple of girls around. Whoa, it's a great time. Someone gets the camera out and starts filming and being like, yo, look what's going on. And I think we just accept it. It's part of, you feel like a bit of a donut going, hey, mate, do you mind not putting your phone? Because people are doing that. That's just how people enjoy an experience now. I understand what you mean. It's a bit restrictive having cameras on in the venue, maybe. But I just think that the game's changed a little bit and maybe that's okay. That's my 2 pence on it. I don't know how other people feel.
Horse has bolted, man. A horse has bolted.
I think it will create an opportunity for people to maybe create an environment where it is gated or secure or private member clubs. They exist. They always have done behind closed doors. Things as well as things going overground, they also do go underground at this, at equal pace.
Also, Felipe, I would say sometimes, right? Clearly, that's the phone culture thing, and people just like, is bothering you. So for me, it kind of goes, well, when you think that, that's like an inner voice just saying, okay, so you do something about it. You maybe what you do is you create like a club environment in which no phones and no this and no that. You know what I mean? And start it small and just start it.
Yeah, I would just do it. I think, one of the things I've learned through this process, I've learned a lot, but one of them is that just because you can live stream to unlimited people, you could just do a live stream that has a limited number of tickets. You could do, I'd let the consumer decide, I'd let the fans decide, because it's so international now. Some people just can't get to the gig and they want the next best thing. So they can like pay a cheaper price. They can sit in their pajamas. They don't have to go, they don't have to travel. And they can watch it conveniently. I think it's broken. This video conferencing has finally been adopted. It's taken so long.
Took forever to get.
I'd let the consumer decide. Just offer it like cheaply and.
Yeah, but what Felipe, are you a sports fan, Felipe? You're boxing or football or wrestling, or do you like what sports? Any sports?
Just football, mate.
Okay, so the football is like, well, let's talk about the boxing because it's probably an easier one for everyone to connect with. The Anthony Joshua fight is on pay-per-view, but every other fight every other week is not on pay-per-view. So there's going to be special occasions that will be available. We've been live streaming for 4 years. We haven't been doing virtual festivals for 4 years, but we've been broadcasting from our Defected Croatia Festival and clubs in IB for 4 years. And so I absolutely think it will continue, and I don't think it's damaging, because if you want to experience it, like I'm a West Ham fan for my sins, I apologise, but I'm a season ticket holder, but I also watch the games on TV. So they're going to get an element of people that want to go to the actual event, but those that also can't or want to watch it on TV. So I don't think that damages, in my opinion. I know that there's a lot of discussion about the money in boxing and football and stuff like that, but honestly, I don't think it has damaged those things, and I don't necessarily think it's going to damage the club culture either, in my honest opinion.
The sports industry is at an all-time high.
Yeah,
it's never done. It's as I say, it's all-time high. It's never making more money. If we just want to be really crude and talk about money, sports is making money because it is using all of the things that we're talking about. It is monetizing it. It is going direct to the fans. It is about the drama on the pitch or in the boxing ring or wherever it, or the racing track. Here's a crazy thing I found out the other day. We work with Red Bull and F1, and there's a great big move into esports, as in online sports, and there's this like subculture, of gamers that are racing cars, right? And they've got these simulators, and they're paying £15,000-20,000 for these simulators to sit in their houses driving simulated races all around the world in whatever car you want to do. They're getting that good. They're starting to take kids off the simulators and put them into the cars, the track.
Yeah, one of the
vice
races,
versa. And
one of the pros is one of the drivers comes from the gaming. Lando Norris, is it Stanley?
Yeah, Lando's a massive streamer. If he quit F1 today, he could go on Twitch, and he's already making. I calculated how much money this kid is making on Twitch a month, and he was making like 200 grand or something from streaming. But he's a bloody F1 driver. He's got a contract with millions. But also, there's another thing.
He's also very good.
He's also very good. Yeah, he's also drives for McLaren. But I'm massive. Me, TJ, we're both massively into F1. So this is actually really funny that you brought that up. But down to like stuff like the simulators and stuff like that. And this is you can't get a racing wheel right now. You cannot find anyone that has stock. Everyone's trying to find a way to plug this hole that COVID has dug, and the quarantine, the lockdown, all that stuff. I'm sponsored by Pioneer. They give me all their kit and all that kind of stuff, and I have meetings with them all the time. They cannot keep up with demand for their DJ equipment right now. And like when they sold they released the new CDJ 3000s that came out in the middle of the pandemic, and people were like, why the hell are you guys releasing this in the middle of the pandemic? Who's going to buy it? The clubs are all closed. They're sold out. People want to get it. People want to learn how to DJ. People want to put money into like hobbies, and people have that disposable income right now. They're not they're not going to clubs. They're not going out to eat dinner at expensive restaurants, and got the disposable income. So,
You held yourself back, Stan. You said they're not out doing, and then there was a close and a remix on what you was going to say. You gave us the sensitized version of what you were going to say.
Understand, people, look, Kat Burns signed to RCA in lockdown, and she signed as a result of her starting, and she started going on TikTok properly at the beginning of lockdown, like properly, really getting into it and teaching herself. And she used it as a medium. And, now TikTok, she's like their darling. Do you know what I mean? And she's ended up with a record deal, etc. And she had been playing live, etc. I know because she supported one of my acts. She'd been playing live before and this and that and whatever. The pandemic came along and she went, okay, I've got to think of a new way. And that's all we're saying to you is, you know what, whatever it is that you're thinking, just like Felipe was like, yeah, but hold on, blah, blah, blah. You can even turn something that you think is a negative, the fact that people, have got phones and blah, and they take them into clubs and go, well, hold on, maybe I'll do something that's different. And then somebody else came out with a thing of saying, well, maybe you just have events that are online that are closed, only 40 people can get to, etc. That's one. And the other thing is this, 10, 15 years ago, I went to Moehl, right, which is a big conference, south of France. It's about the music industry. If you can get a chance to go to it at least once if you can, right? Anyway, I went to this conference, and I remember there was a guy called, it's either called Jai Park or J Park, one of the two. He's a Korean big
J Park.
Yeah, record label, sort of mogul almost. Anyway, I always remember there was a bunch of people sat around the table, and he just sat next to him, and I just soaked it up. And remember what he was saying was this. He just said, look, he said, all of you, he said, you're here, you're complaining about either, iTunes or this or that. And, the fact that Napster did this and all of this stuff, he said, but I don't know. He said, where we come from, he said, we've just got a different way of looking at it. He said, you know, and what he was basically explaining was, he said they were, everybody, basically loads of the music industry intelligentsia was sat around the table and they said, yeah, well, what, how do you earn? How do you earn? How do you earn? And he just said, well, he said, basically, he said, we're just digital fan clubs. He said, direct to our fans. And they were like, well, how does that earn? And he said, well, he said, we charge £5 a year. And they went, what? He said, £5 a year. And he said, each act with that fan will give over £5 or $5 or whatever it was. And what they will do is they will receive exclusive content, exclusive music from the band. And people were like in arms. I remember them all going, and he sat there, he was eating, and he sat there and they were all up in arms. Oh, how are you going to make any money from that? He said, one of my bands has 2.5 million fans. And the room just silent, right? Because I could hear people, the maths just going, and them going, oh my God, what? And it was it. Yeah, he was like, look, he said, that's how we do it. He said, you can keep doing it your way. And that's the thing. You're either on the side of the fence that is grumbling and blah, or whatever about it, or you're like, okay, how? If you come away with anything from today, come away with how am I in what I'm doing, enjoying it being fun, gonna take what I do forward and have the one brick, which is one fan, and turn that into 2 fans, and turn the 2 fans into 4 fans, and the 4 fans, followers, into 8. Do you know?
Do it for yourself. I agree. I think people should do their art for themselves. I think we're going to get away from this kind of cliched bullshit, kind of playing the game, trying to be the formula. I think do it for yourself, do what you love. And as someone has said earlier, be brave. And if somebody doesn't like it, that's fine. It's your art, it's your craft. Do it for you.
Well, thanks for that, Dave. Stan, it's just occurred to me now, really off topic, but Stan, I think like if we can get some headphones and giveaways, the next time I do a Zoom, I want to give like free headphones to the person with the best backdrop. And Raphael, you would have got it if that competition was live. Now I can't lie. You would have got it just on the basis of that background. I'm like, yo, I just want to shout out that backdrop. Bob, no, sorry, Bob, yours is fly. Don't get me wrong, Bob, but I think I'm going to make that a theme. Like the person with the best background will get headphones or something. I'm going to try and
up my game.
No, Kwame, too late, man. Too late. Don't jump on it now.
If you told me, if you told me earlier, I would have just pulled down my green screen and then we could have gone. You know.
Yeah, but that's what I think. I'll make people make the effort. Look, I'm aware of time. It's beautiful because so much questions, so much conversation. This is what I wanted, that organic vibe of having dialogue. I left my email in purposely, so I'm glad you enjoyed it, Chantal. I left my email purposely so that you could message me and give me feedback on what you thought of this. You know, it's an ever-evolving process. So what I want to do is fine-tune these things, do more of what you like, less of what you don't like. So I'm going to try and, if your vibe's in with this, boom, then I'm going to try and do more panels like this. If there's things you could tell me, I'll fine-tune it, try and make it better. So you've got my email. Let me know what you thought. We were live on YouTube. I didn't get to check the YouTube chat, but thanks, guys. I'll make sure I check all that next time. Time kind of got away from us on this one. I want to big up Wez, Roman, Kwame, Stanley, Craig. I want to big you up, Dave, but no, I'm joking. I want to big you up.
I want to complain about this award for the background. I mean, like, it's not fair. I need to give me the complaints email.
Come back.
I want to recount.
So yeah, Stan's got the lights going now. So like, honestly, I really want to thank you guys for turning up. Your contributions were great. You made the conversation and you made it happen. So that's why I got you guys on board. Thank you. Feedback appreciated. I hope to run more of this stuff if this is the kind of stuff you like. And all the panelists, I'll catch up with you on the other side. Does any of our panelists have any closing comments, any kind of thing burning on them that they want to say before they pass? Or is it just deuces?
Just keep the faith in doing your thing, man. Just keep plugging away, doing what you love.
Big up Point Blank.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd actually just like to say that actually you guys, not us, because we're all old and hagged.
Speak for yourself, Roman.
Well, what I was going to say was actually, you guys, everyone here, apart from the panel, you actually have the answers. You just don't know you've got them. You're actually going to drive this forward. We're just here in admiration, just going, this is going to be the most exciting thing that's going to happen in the next 10, 20 years. Someone here is going to have, their brain is ticking away and they're taking it all in and they're going to create something.
Roman, I totally agree. I totally agree. And we also, let's look at the fact that Dua Lipa did one gig in which 250,000 people turned up to. Let's look at that and just go, if that's not telling us where future, what can happen, then God knows. But yeah, listen, I totally agree, Roman. You lot are the future. Or we're just part of a process. Maybe you hear one thing here, today that just makes you turn left instead of right or right instead of left. And that's it. But you take it and it's going to come from your minds. And let's be real, Generation Z, especially politically, this year or last year, totally, I felt it in my chest what you lot did. Taking to the streets to literally challenge at every point. I'm like, yeah. And that made me go, yeah, I remember that. And you know what? Okay. And it made me go for it too. So keep doing what you're doing. We're here to learn from you. That's it. Mic drop. In fact, I just my famous.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. That's it. This was the future of music, and the answer is you guys are the future of music. And hopefully you got some gems from there. Thanks everyone. Peace, love, respect. All the panelists. I'll be in touch on the email.